does it say? Recording has started. I can't hear anything. The sound is on. It's just not.
Well, somebody might be meeting.
Very sorry that we didn't have a meeting yet. Sorry.
I can't hear anything. So I don't know where to chat on this. I do not like this thing at all. Oh, here, chat. Now I lost the call again.
All right, I think we are good to
We're
go.
good. All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our November meeting. This is the last of the 2023 meetings that we'll have in the community. If everybody doesn't know who I am, I'm Barbara Jasinski, the president. Let me introduce the board, and you've met Ashley, our property manager. We've got Glenn Higbee,
Okay.
the vice president. We have Bill Brown, the treasurer. We have Ed Hammond, our secretary, and Lynn, our newest member and a most hardworking member right now at large. We're first going to start off and approve the minutes of the previous meeting in August
Agenda.
and agenda.
Okay.
Oh, agenda first. And then, so Ed, I'm turning them over to you. Just forget all the rubbish.
So I move that we accept the agenda.
Second,
With that,
Dawn,
thank you, Dawn. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? The agenda is adopted.
All right,
Is
minutes.
the minutes all on?
Mhm.
Okay, and I am calling for a motion to approve the minutes from the community meeting minutes from August 19th, 2023.
second.
I'm calling for a motion.
Motion.
Carolyn, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Kathy. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? The minutes are approved.
Thank you. Thank you, Ed. All righty. I'm going to give us a little history and then we'll get into the rest of the meeting and also the budget and, all of our committees will be presenting. In 2021, so we're starting back 3 years ago, we turned 13 years old. And we established a team of volunteers that we wanted to look at ways to enhance our aging community and also keep us competitive. And we started that committee and it was Carol Stevens, Sharon Marshall, Ava Mulford, Ladine Barksdale, and myself. And we called ourselves the Master Plan Group. And along with numerous other people in the volunteers, we're working on this committee. Our first meeting was in June, and we started with a list of ideas, and we wanted to do things that would beautify Bay Point, give us a gazebo walkway, possibly a butterfly garden, and maybe some new fountains in the front, and gardens at the clubhouse. Also in June, we had sent out a survey, a confidential informal survey asking for community suggestions and what we would like to see in possibly in the form of activities or enhancements in Bay Point. They provided us with 7 ideas, and then we also got additional recommendations from the community. This survey was an informal opinion poll, not a vote. The bocce courts and the horseshoes had the highest scores of, all of the new ideas, but there were many from the community. Turn my page. However, and those were, how can we keep everything that we have in the community and enhance it? Enhancing the pool area, making the gazebo dock area accessible to everybody, and improving the front entrance, or even maybe protecting the front entrance from, the other community that's being built. In July 29th, we had a meeting that we decided to start small. So we started with a butterfly garden and we started with the, doing the gazebo walkway, which had been on the budget for a number of years. And we wanted to find an economical way to get a pathway down there. We were able to do that. We budgeted $20,000 and did it for under $5,000. So we really accomplished a goal there. Due to COVID, we really stopped having our meetings because of, the master plan group. And we thought all future ideas and stuff that we wanted to do was basically put on hold. We did continue doing some enhancement pieces to the community, like adding fitness equipment and painting the gazebo furniture down there instead of replacing it, adding some more kayak racks for all of our kayakers. We did put new fountain heads, thanks to Ken Burke, and we replaced the front steps at the clubhouse. As we started enhancing, however, the board realized that we couldn't do it all with this one group. We needed to add committees. So we added committees and we got 21 committee chairs and committee members to volunteer and give us, basically involved in the decision-making process of the community of repairing and also enhancing Bay Pointe. Unfortunately, in 2023 was a year of austerity. And to the disappointment of many of our members, we had to really put a lot of projects on hold. And it was due to the high inflation numbers, and also we wanted to keep our costs down as much as possible. Therefore, we continued to just concentrate on enhancing things. And what we could do was keeping everything in good working order. Throughout the last 5 years, we've tried to keep everybody informed on everything that's been happening in this community through the board minutes, meeting minutes, the recaps, the community meetings, newsletters, individual email blasts, and soon we will have an interactive website. Now in 2024, Bay Pointe will be 15 years old. And we have developed a budget that not only addresses the number of repair and replacement needs of Bay Pointe, but also addresses the security concerns and activity interests of our members. This meeting today will answer some of the homeowners' questions and cover the ratification of our 2024 budget, a budget that only increases our yearly fees by 24 cents a day. We will also hear from the committee members that help in our running of Bay Pointe, and we have discussions on the CCR draft and possible sign policy. We have a full plate. And right now, I will turn it over to Bill. You're on.
First, happy Veterans Day. Just like to take a few moments to recognize those who have paid the ultimate price for our freedoms and our democracies, and those who continue to serve. Good morning, Bay Pointe. As of October 31st, 2023, the treasurer's report is as follows. We have an operating fund balance of $76,043. Operating reserve fund, $40,826. Long-term reserve fund, $415,132. Social committee fund balance, is $11,620. Total fund balance for all of Bay Pointe's funds is $543,621. The net operating fund budget variance is a positive $14,642. As of October 31st, Bay Pointe's year-to-date long-term reserve fund investments have earned $7,558 in interest, $4,827 in unrealized capital gains. for a total of $12,385. This time last year, interest earned by this fund was $1,576. A year-to-date increase of $10,809. Now, that's a number you could sink your teeth in. As of October 31st, Bay Pointe's year-to-date operational reserve fund investments have earned $976 in interest. This time last year, interest earned by this fund was $52. A year-to-date increase of $924. Kudos to James Berry and the investment committee. Well done. Unbelievable, isn't it? And it's all safe. Today, cost and budget. Then each board member accepts responsibility for a set of accounts. It's not the treasurer's report, it's the board's report. Board members then review the invoice database for the respective accounts to identify cost flows and contracts. Working with Ashley, our PCAM management agent, an RFP is generated for any contract identified as expiring in the coming year. RFP is abbreviation for request for bids. The RFP is circulated to various vendors. The board then reviews the submitted bids and votes what vendor gets awarded the contract. Every contract is voted on. Finally, and I mean finally, after much discussion and calculations, an assessment amount is calculated for the homeowners. The 2024 homeowners quarterly assessment for the operational fund will increase $14 from our quarterly assessment of $470 to $484, a 2.98% increase from the 2023 assessment. The 2024 homeowners quarterly assessment for long-term reserve fund will increase $8 from our quarterly assessment of $100 to $108, an 8% increase from the 2023 assessment. The total 2024 homeowners quarterly assessment for Bay Pointe community will increase $22 from the current quarterly assessment of $570 to $592 a quarter, or 3.86% increase from the 2023 assessment. The increase in the operational fund assessment is in line with recent inflation projections. Since the assessment for the long-term reserve fund has not been increased for several years, an increase is needed to make the total assessment in line with the $71,280 suggested by the reserve study. I'm sorry, let me correct that. To make the total assessment in line with the amounts suggested by the 2022 reserve study. The projected assessment total is $71,280. The respective contribution amount recommended by the reserve study is $72,600. Does everyone know what a reserve study is? Just in case, I will tell you. The board contracted an engineer to review all our assets. and infrastructure, roads, roof, house, pool, and provide us with a suggested plan to fund future repairs and replacements. It's just a suggested plan. It is not a budget. Questions concerning the operational fund. Question: why is the 2024 budget for buildings only $11,905, while the respective year-end 2023 projection for buildings is $13,978, a difference of $1,293? The 2023 projected expenditures included cleaning service expenditures for 2022 that were paid in 2023. The budget cleaning cost for 2024 only includes the 2024 projected cleaning cost. On that subject, we contacted the owner numerous times before we finally received updated invoices. This is not how I would conduct my business, but she kept cleaning and we didn't pay for over a year. Dawn, you can vouch on that one, right?
Right.
Cool. All right, questions regarding the operational reserve fund. Several homeowners have asked for an explanation concerning the emergency services expense of $30,472 listed in the comment section of the 2024 operating reserve fund expenditures. This is a great question. Last year, PCAN advised the board that we should plan to restrict $50,000 of our operational reserve fund balance for only the payment of emergency services. An example of an emergency service expense is the $19,000 in snow plowing cost we experienced in 2022 when we only had $2,000 in the budget. That is one winter we will never forget. Excuse me. The board decided on the following plan to achieve that goal. By restricting for purchase of new projects and assets, 1/2 of the projected 2023 beginning balance of the operating reserve fund, which is $19,470, plus 1/2 of the projected 2023 operational fund surplus, which is $11,002, which equals the $30,472. The amount budgeted for emergency services for 2024. We are well on our way to achieving the emergency service balance of $50,000. The plan will be reevaluated each year. Questions regarding the long-term reserve fund. Several homeowners have questioned if the long-term reserve fund will have enough money to cover the future cost of capital repairs and replacements that are presented in the reserve study. At the request of the board, the investment committee under James Berry's leadership recently reviewed and updated the study to reflect an inflation rate of 4% and a return on investment rate of 3%. We're currently earning over 5%, by the way. The original rates were 3% and 0.7%, respectively. Also, the study was updated to reflect the capital projects completed or to be completed in 2023, totaling $39,386, and projects projected in the proposed 2024 budget to be completed totaling $72,250. Both the 2023 and the 2024 capital improvements were presented in the study as being addressed in later years. So we're doing this stuff a little bit sooner, or sometimes years sooner than it was presented in the reserve study. The capital improvements completed in 2023, as reported in our budget, include the front entrance fountain structure, $3,250. Clubhouse front steps, $9,136. Storm drains, sidewalks, and curb repairs. We have it in the budget for $27,000. projected, it's coming in probably close to 22,000. But at the time, we didn't have the bill. Thank you to the roads and building committees. They've done a lot. And I know you'll hear from Paul. Capital improvements projected in the 2024 budget include the removal and replacement of the clubhouse hayback system for projecting a cost of $22,500. Again, we don't have the bids. This is our best guess at this time. It could come in low, it could come in lower. I usually try to go a little higher on these things. I'd rather come to you and say, I have a surplus, as opposed to coming to you and saying I have a deficit and I need to do something about it.
It's more than.
2 backup fountains for our ponds. I know this has been a point, 6,500. These are not needed right now, but when a pond goes down, we won't have to wait for it to be delivered. Well, clubhouse renovations, 30,000. Again, this number is on the high side. But again, we would rather be high than low. Pool furniture, 5,000. It's awful. I repaired a couple chairs myself. It's long overdue. And a pool cover, $8,250. If you take a look at it, I think we got one more year. Questions concerning the social committee fund. I'd like to point out for the first time, the board working with the chair of the social committee, Nancy Shirey, is presenting a proposed budget for the social committee's activities. This is the first time. Accordingly, this year, the board chartered a new committee with its own fund called Social Committee Fund. A separate checking account was also established to handle social committee activities with the funds that were on deposit in a checking account that was previously held by a homeowner outside the oversight of the board. I'm glad we brought them in. Together with $1,000 transfer from the operational fund social committee expense budget line item. Monthly, the social committee submits a reconciled bank statement to PCAN and your treasurer. For 2024, the social committee expense will no longer be funded by the HOA, but funded by only donations and participation fees. This concludes my presentation, Barbara.
Okay. All righty, now we'll have, if anybody has any questions on the budget from the floor and also from our people that are online. So, anybody, any?
Sharon has her hand up.
Okay.
Somebody enough to be other side.
Yes.
Sharon has, okay, well, Carol, let's go with you.
You mentioned we spent money now, like on the roads or something that previously we thought we would spend in the future. Isn't it possible that we are going to have more problems with our roads, and so we'll be spending money on that in that area, also? I don't know that, we're not going to have those expenses in the future. Just because we brought them forward, it seems like that's a problematic area.
Paul?
Yeah, we own, as you know, we own the roads, we have to maintain them. The way I look at it is we want to defer major replacement spending, which is, grinding and repaving, right? So what we're doing is we do crack sealing and we do surface coating on a periodic basis. In fact, we're looking at, you'll hear that in my report.
So that's more of a proactive thing that.
That's maintenance. That's as wear and tear happens, we want to try to stay on top.
Okay, thank you.
And that's small dollars compared to what it would cost to come in and actually start replacing roads.
But we still have that money available.
Yeah, that would be in, well, I don't know, budget, buckets that comes out, but that's not an operating expense.
No, it's long-term reserve expense.
But our priorities, but it's trying to defer major and extend the service life of roads
Right,
by doing smaller repairs along the way.
okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Do we have Sharon's?
She didn't have a question.
She didn't, okay.
Oh, that's a break.
All righty. Hey, Bill, then the ratification.
I'd like to ask my community to ratify the budget I presented for the board. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Understood. Let the record read.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good job, Bill. Good job.
All righty.
That bocce ball. I don't know, is it-
No,
You'll
we
have your time.
What?
We'll talk about it.
Oh.
All righty, we're gonna go now on to our committee chairs to give up their updated reports. Can I have James, you're stand right here, because that's the mic. So
Stand by here.
just stand right there so they can hear you online.
Okay. What we've done, lately, is recommend to the board that, we start getting into longer term investments, because right now, all our US treasuries are shorter term, all the way up to like 1 year. So we need to cover the long term part. By doing that, we decided the S&P 500 fund would be a good way to produce long term returns. And is not guaranteed that part, putting a small amount in. And it's, if you run a Monte Carlo simulation, it almost always produces excellent returns, which is over the long-term 30-year and 10-year bond rates. So it's a much better investment for the long-term funds. We did that, and then with the help of Bill, we did a stress test study. We worked on it a lot. Bill helped me understand the spreadsheet. Thanks, Bill. We shot with Bill and I shot it all the way up to 5% and stress tested it and changed the fund to reflect what Bill's new budget is, because they didn't have that in 2021. And I just don't, there's no way I could see the Federal Reserve letting the inflation rate stay at 5% and not doing anything about it. But the way this reserve study spreadsheet works, once you set it, you can't set it down in later years. So it was a run of 5% over the course of 20 years. Even at 5%, we're good. It worked. So I was really happy about that. The other thing to note is that in the original study, it does call for a 3% increase every year. And with my new study, I didn't change that. That stays the same. I do hope with the returns that we're getting that maybe in the future we'll be able to lower that, but we'll face that bridge when we come to it. Let's hope we are able to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, James.
I'd like to add, we're going into equities very slowly,
Right.
$2,000 a month. And the board takes a look at their meetings, which is very slow, but we're planning 15 years ahead. And it's set up similar to how pension plans are set up.
Yes.
Thank you, James. Great report and great performance. And can you just, in a, layman's terms, what is a stress test? How does that, what are you looking at?
Okay, with the stress test, basically, we took the reserve study and they have a spot where you can increase, where you set the inflation rate. They had it set very low because this was done 2020 at the end of?
Or end of 2020.
Yeah, so they had it set very low, like 0.5 or 1%, something like that. By raising the inflation rate it changes the spreadsheet's expenditures that are set at like 2025. The spreadsheet says we're going to have roads replaced, or we're going to have the house, the clubhouse refurnished, or the vinyl siding redone. All those expected expenditures are listed in the spreadsheet and put into its respective column by year. When you change that inflation rate, the inflation rate multiplies the original number by the current inflation rate over a number of years. So it raises the cost that we're going to be paying through the years. So by stress testing it all the way up to 5%, we put in enormous amounts for coming out for individual things. In addition, I think Bill, I'll let Bill talk about that later. Some of the expenses we found were a little bit high that they put in, and maybe we'll be able to talk about that a little bit later, but that's not my fault.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Anybody else? All right, thank you.
Thanks, James.
Thank you, and thank you, your committee.
Colin,
Morning. I'm Colin Wemmer, Chairman of the Architectural Review Board. On our Architectural Review Board, there's 4 other members. 3 of whom are here: Marty Vitale, Greg Stevens, Bob Frank, and one who's not, that's Bill Shirey. Just so you know, that's who our committee that oversees our architectural review. We hold a meeting once a month on Wednesdays at 10 o'clock to go over any applications or other issues that we have. During the year-to-date 2023, we've approved 14 applications. 18 projects have been completed and final inspected. Only 1 application has been approved where the work has not yet been completed. We have 2 applications where we need additional information to make a final determination on approval. During the year, we had 3 applications that went to appeal to the executive board, and all of those have been resolved. There are no outstanding appeals at this time. And right now, we probably have the lowest backlog of projects since I've been on the board. So we really have cleared a lot of things through, and there probably won't be much activity in the winter. And then again, in the spring, the activity will pick up again as more people make applications. And then my understanding from the executive board liaison is that there's going to be a change, the design guidelines coming out that's going to clarify doors and shutters as far as changing colors of this, to clear things up there. So that's the status year to date. Any questions?
thanks, Colin. Thank
Okay,
you very
thank
much.
you.
Rounds.
I'm next. Good morning. Number of bullets that I'll just run through. Earlier this year, we took down several large trees that were threatening homes. We've identified a few more that are under contract to be removed before the end of the year. One of the really frustrating things for me, and I think for a lot of you, was that our front fountain did not work. It leaked. And so we finally found a company that would sandblast the old paint and fix where it was leaking. It's been repainted, it's been resealed. It looks the way it should look, but it's not running. Nor will it until next spring. So that's ready to go. Excuse me. The kayaks that were stored down the gazebo were power washed, thanks to a number of people. We've moved some grass plants that were adjacent to the air handlers and out here, and they were overgrown and kind of choking the air from going through the air handlers. So if you look at the 2, I call them half moon gardens that are beyond the back fence, a lot of those grass plants were moved back there. So that should be nice in the spring as they start to grow. The gazebo beach is raked on a monthly basis.
Thanks.
All of the pool furniture, once again, was power washed and is undercover. One of the things that a number of homeowners contacted us about, and if your home backs up against common area, a number of the folks said, trees are growing. Wow, what a surprise. The limbs are getting closer to our deck, to our porch. Is that an HOA responsibility? And our answer is, right now, we don't know. Why we don't know is what we've got to determine is where's the line between private property and common grounds. And so we contacted an engineer that hopefully will show us where the line is. And if it's trees that are in the common area that are encroaching on our homes, then our intention is to come in and do some trimming to protect the homes. That is our responsibility. The maple trees, they're not throughout the entire development. There's more of them in the beginning of the development and down. It's been many years since they were trimmed. Comment was received that there's a lot of low-lying limbs, that people who are walking on the sidewalk are getting, somewhat at risk. Once again, we have a tree company under contract. They will be coming in to do all of that trimming December 11th through the 13th. So that's the soonest they could give us 3 days to come in and do all that work. The fertilizer applications were all completed this year. We had a leak in the irrigation system, which was repaired. Let's talk about mowing a little bit. It was not, my view, it was not a good year. Now, where I say that is, there were times when we had a lot of precipitation, and there were times where we, and I include myself, didn't turn our sprinkler systems off to let the ground stabilize. So a lot of the grounds were sponging, and the mowing is done on a weekly basis. There were a lot of ruts, and that happened. But I can tell you that if you reported it through our website to PCAM, it was reported to us. I reached out to Sposato. In many cases, they came back with topsoil, filled the ruts in, and seeded it. And Sposato is included. We got last year, we got a 2024 contract from them, so they will be doing our lawns again for next year. But the lesson that I learned is I've got one of those precipitation monitors up on my gutter that's supposed to tell the sprinkler system, hey, it rained last night, don't come on. It didn't work. It worked at the beginning of the year, but it doesn't work now, I know. So my advice to you is, if you do have a company coming in to shut the system down, or thinking ahead to the spring, if you have someone coming in to turn it on, have that detector checked. Because I think that if it's working properly, I think that would solve a lot of our problems. Not all of them. We got to, thank Mother Nature when she gives us a downpour the day before they're going to come in and start mowing. But just a word to the wise.
Question.
Sure, John.
Okay, two. They were more inconsistent this year than years previous. I don't know if it's because Posato has a heavier workload and they just have to go where they can go to get things done. But the rain sensor is not going to help, because they cut our grass every day of the week this past season. This is the first time since I've lived here, since 2012, that's happened. The second thing is, I was washing off my house, my cars. I noticed there are other cars. Previous years, the guys that blow the grass, you're gonna get some grass, but it's just caked on. They're the way to blow. You don't blow it into the house. You blow it away from the house. You don't blow it into the cars. You blow it away from the cars. And that didn't happen this year. We had a lot of people were complaining. My neighbor, it was all over the side of his house. I washed it off. He was on vacation. So they need to be told, probably the supervisor that comes through this, to please tell the workers not to blow it into the house, blow it away from the house. You're blowing it off the sidewalk, but it doesn't help when it's 3 feet up when you're siding.
Acknowledged. Happened to me too.
Me too.
And I reported it. The supervisor's name is Jason. I will tell you that he is responsive. Had a meeting the other day with him, and that was one of the things we pointed out. So I'm gonna be optimistic that if we meet with him in the spring before things start, we'll have a laundry list and those things will be included that he's got to pass on to his folks, and then we'll keep track of it. But thank you. I totally agree with you.
And the Ruts, they did do a very good job. I mean, that is a positive note. I mean, they did come out and fix my neighbor's lawn. I was surprised. They were out there in a few days and took care of everything. So that's a positive.
Thank you, John. I'll finish by saying they are done mowing for the year, but we know how temperate it was last week, and the grass is still growing. The leaves that are coming down, what the board has authorized is an additional mowing to be done starting next Monday for the entire development. So they will be doing the entrance, the clubhouse area, and all of our properties. And hopefully getting the lawn to a point where, okay, now we're done for the season. They will not be going out, going around the ponds, which was an additional mowing that we asked them to do this year, where they were previously doing it every other year.
Week.
I'm sorry,
Every other week.
I'm saying year, I'm sorry, week, you know what I meant. Because of the ticks. A lot of us have picked up ticks as we walk around the ponds or down at the kayak areas, and we're very concerned about that. So when they come in on Monday, they'll be doing the entire development, but will not be going around the ponds. So I hope that's it for the year. In closing, I'd just like to say, and he's not here, but thank you to Larry Lineweaver, who took on the position of chairing the grounds committee. And he's the guy that we look to when there's a project that he pulls some of you together and we knock it out. But that's my report.
Right. I'm Tom Rice. I live right next to the artesian sewage dispersion. And I've talked to Ashley about this before. Two things. The sprinkler system around there has not been on for 2 years. Ever since Tidewater was bought out by Artesian. Ashley tried to address this with Artesian, and she could speak for herself, but has not gotten any positive feedback. So the grass out in front of there keeps dying, the wiregrass keeps taking over. And if you really look closely, it's becoming a really eyesore. The other part of it is Complete Tree, when when Tidewater had that contract, used to maintain the bedding all the way around. They haven't, since that they've changed, they haven't come out to maintain it. I tried to put flowers in there and beautify it, but right now it needs to be cleaned up, mulched, and taken care of. I was hoping that Sposato could do that as part of our contract. However, Ashley says that's because it's tied Artesian's property, we don't have that right. And yet we cut the grass there, and that's really Artesian's property. So there seems to me there's two different things going on. We have Artesian who doesn't care about taking care of any of it. And then we're doing some of the work Sposato is, but we're not doing everything we should. So I'm just putting it up there as a problem area that I know actually tried to resolve for a year.
Well, I can stop paying it to them and see what they say.
We can see what happens. If you're with me on this.
I only know we can do that.
Which is a safety issue when you're.
Thank you, Jane. And I should have mentioned that.
Yeah.
That the HOA is taking care of the trees that we're responsible for. But I think we did mention in our last email communication, whatever, that if you have a tree on your property that's in close proximity to the sidewalk, bear in mind, it is a risk to people walking down there. And please trim those limbs back. Some people have done it, so they did respond. But it's an individual responsibility and please take care of it. Yeah, Paul.
Yeah, so you talk about trees that are on common, that might be encroaching on private property. What about trees that are on wetlands designated land that are also encroaching on property?
That's all.
Who owns that tree?
Can you?
That's why we're doing the engineer, yeah.
We have trees that grow
Yeah.
outside the property line, but they're in wetlands designated.
They're in a natural buffer
So I'm
zone.
talking, yeah, natural. So, but they could be dangerous trees. Who's responsible for, you know, trimming and or felling those trees?
I don't know, but I will find out.
There's several trees that run behind. It's the the west side of Heritage Court.
Right.
and they're, that are on the buffer zone.
Mhm.
But they're, 10 feet from the house and, they could pose a big problem if they were ever to go over that. Would that become a homeowner insurance problem? Or is there something proactive you can do to either trim them back or cut them down?
Yeah, and I guess the first thing is when we get an engineer and we can determine, and
There it is.
the homes that are on those areas, the buffer zones, if you will, are included in my list of areas we'd like to see where the property lines are. And we also have a development map that shows where there are common areas. There are not common areas behind everybody, so I don't believe. So we'll take a look at that, Paul, and make some kind of determination if there, we don't want to put anybody at risk, obviously. So, thank you. We'll take a look at that.
Carolyn? Wait, we got, did you point? Oh.
I don't, my head's swiveling.
Disturbing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they'll
I
be
mean-
staked out, the question was, I have to repeat the question because the people that are on. There's a question about, with the engineer study, will the property owners be, notified when they're coming out or where the property line's gonna be? And yes, we want to have it staked. We want them to stay if they can, so we don't want to have them removed. So then in the future, it's there for everybody. So- Sorry.
That's all right. Let me stay over here, Jenny. Kathy, go ahead.
Can I go?
If it's people's
On
property.
somebody else's property? No.
When I did they allowed me to set out freehold. Property.
Don't do it. Well, let's do that for me.
They are.
They are.
3 months or whatever, why isn't something done?
They probably don't read the minutes of the meetings, whoever the person is who owns the house.
Yes.
A lot of that is true.
There's a violation
What he's
process.
talking about.
Yeah.
There is a violation process, but we don't discuss that in open meetings.
Jenny, you had a question?
Spring, could we ask the spotters to train their weed whacking people? Because they don't know how to properly hold the angle and what they're doing. They're the ones throwing it into your shower stoves, throwing it against your wall. I don't have grass anywhere next to my house. And it's them, because I go out after they've left or the blowers come. And they just plastered it everywhere, but they don't know how to use the equipment. So if the photos would give them some training, maybe we all wouldn't have the problem.
Okay, I'll discuss it with Jason. Thank you. Ron?
The problem seemed to be worse this year, just on that topic, as came in the past, but anyway, yeah.
Oh, the person's doing.
You know, if I were to be out there, I don't know, I think it's one of the, my question is, the people that are gonna, the company that's gonna be doing the trimming of the trees and the development here. I've got some trees on my property I need to have trimmed, I'm not thinking of doing it because it's gotten bigger. In the past, they said, well, this company's gonna be working in the neighborhood, and if you have trees that need to be trimmed, they're willing to work with you because they're in the neighborhood, you're gonna be able to do that.
I'm not sure
Have complete.
we've hired Complete Tree Services. You see their trucks all over. They are the group that's coming in December 11th through the 13th. And if you're asking me, you have trees that are yours to be trimmed. My advice is call them up and talk to them. Remind them that they're scheduled to come in December for community work. And maybe they can piggyback something and work something out with you and anybody else that you know you've got private trees that need trimming. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, well, in the past, the board organized the company that was doing it and said that, okay, they put it out on the bulletin or an email or something and said, you know, they've agreed that they'll work with the homeowners in here. So there was this group thing that maybe you get better pricing rather than just me calling up and.
Look into it.
But if that's what you want me to do, I'll do it.
Well, I'll do this. I'll call the company again following this meeting and let them know that there are private property owners that may be reaching out to them, and could they work with you in concert to the work that they're doing for the development? I guess that's the best I can do, because I don't know who, what, where, and how much
Okay.
is needed.
I'd rather not get involved in that. Well, I'm not asking you other than just have this discussion with them.
Yeah.
You know, would you work with homeowners?
Sure.
When you're in the neighborhood or makes points that's, and with sometime then.
Yeah, we can do that.
Separately, done this winter.
Yeah.
But it's not before, and that's why I'm asking. Can you do that again?
Okay. See what I can do.
I can show you.
Thank you.
Anybody else on grounds? All righty. We've got roads.
Okay, Paul.
Oh.
Hi.
Yep, you gotta
Over
come.
there, Paul.
Stand, you gotta, no, not stand in front, but you gotta stand near the mic.
Oh, okay. Thank you, neighbors and friends. Paul Strauss, I live on Herring Reach Court and on the roads committee along with James White. And we work under the auspices of Bill and the rest of the board. So as I said before, we own the roads and the sidewalks and the curbs and everything concrete and hard. We own it, except your driveway. With that in mind, I just want to, let you know, like I said earlier, our job is to maintain them and spend some money along the way to hopefully defer major replacement costs. So if we do everything kind of on a as needed basis, this year, we finally completed what had been a long multi-year accumulation of areas that need work in, like sidewalks, curbs, around the storm drains have been a chronic problem here. So we'll keep on those. But projects that have been completed this year, we did replace the front steps earlier this year. And we just finally finished the concrete and sidewalk repairs, storm basin repairs. So you'll see where we ground reliefs in the raised lip of those concrete stormwater basins because they were trapping water. Water wasn't freely draining. And what happens is there's a caulk joint or an expansion joint around those boxes that have been eroded and washed out. And so water would actually drain in on the outside of the storm box and cause underground subsidence or sinkholes, et cetera, along with the poor pipe work that was done under originally. So This year, you'll see where we ground these slots, reliefs, we caulked the, original expansion joints. With a commercial expansion joint material like you see around the pool and stuff like that. And so, hopefully we'll, retard any, further erosion in that area. We ground and we replaced some sidewalk sections. When it comes to tripping hazards, just as a general information, I use the ADA criteria, Americans with Disabilities Act criteria for what's a tripping hazard. And they define that as a 1/4 inch difference from one slab to another. Okay, so we try to get most of those, the point is we're completed with this work. But the job's not over. Anything that you see out there that needs attention, either get a hold of PCAM or myself. We'll start a new list and we'll start to address these on an annual basis. So we're not having this huge list of jobs. So like Bill said earlier, we had budget about 24,000. We're probably not even gonna hit $20,000 on that job. We have a good contractor lined up. They don't mind these kind of small one-off jobs. So that's an accomplishment right there. Trying to get a concrete contractor in to do anything is big. And so I love these people. Their name's Concrete and they're a small family business. But they respond and they're fair. And so again, any concerns around concrete or and then, by the way, that also includes the pool out here, and I'll talk about that. All right, so we did that. New proposed projects that we're talking about right now. The concrete pool deck and the pavilion decks were originally constructed with very large slab sections. Obviously a way to save costs for the original contractor. So they have minimal or non-existent expansion joints and control joints. So you're seeing a lot of cracking from settlement. Like Barbara said, I guess the pool's 15 years old now.
Yes.
So you've got some cracks here. They're not severe, earthquake, damage, but they're due to normal freeze thaw, some settlement. So we have these cracks. They're unsightly. We want the pool to look really nice. So we want to repair these cracks, and then at some point, probably next year, we want to actually do a coating system. And we're talking to a couple of contractors on what kind of coatings are suitable for swimming pool environments. One of the companies I'm talking to does work in Florida at hotels. They have products that withstand Florida, okay. So that probably is a direction we're going to go in. It's not cheap to do this stuff. Just a crack replace, just to grind out, add control joints and fill the cracks is probably in the neighborhood of between $10,000 and $14,000 just to do that. Coating is probably going to be another 24 to 30,000. So that's if we want our pool to look good and to get rid of these cracks, we have to spend some money. But that has not been really proposed yet formally. I'm working on that. Okay, roadways. We own the roads. 2 years ago or so, we sealed the cracks and we applied a surface coating, commercial surface coating. Cracks happen. Asphalt expands and contracts with freeze thaw, traffic, et cetera, et cetera. So we have a lot of new cracks. We have cracks that are a little wider and deeper than they used to be. So we're going to look at that. I have a bid in right now to the board. It's $6,500 to have TMS, who did the original crack sealing, come in and do the entire Bay Point plus the clubhouse parking lot. And I'm recommending that get reviewed and approved quickly so we can still take advantage of mild weather this year.
Paul, were you able to find any other vendors that we can?
I called 2 other vendors. I have their names here somewhere. But yeah, and they just didn't return my calls.
Wow.
This is,
That's typical.
cracks, very typical. You know, a lot of these companies are mom and pop, and mom and pop are out there on the job. They're not answering their phones. They're not returning phone calls. It's just the nature of the business. Same as concrete. But I do have same company that came in last time. TMS is their name. They do asphalt maintenance. They don't do road paving. They do coatings and crack sealing.
What was the budget for that?
We didn't
We
really
don't
have a
have it.
budget.
We don't have.
The bid was out of $6,500.
We have $27,000 set aside this year for roads,
Oh,
coming in at 20,000. So that says we have $7,000 that was in the budget for roads. It's not being used at this time.
So what I'm sitting on a proposal right now that's $6,500 to do
he's gonna do this whole thing for $6,000.
all the steeling. No, I'm sorry, all the still. It's a hot tar process. You see them with
I
their
got you.
little bucket truck and they got their thing and they're out there.
Will they put the top coat?
No, that's not, that's a separate. And that would be probably next spring if we still wanted to do that. Believe it or not, crack sealing and surface coating is a byproduct of crude oil
Right.
refining, and it's actually, the pricing fluctuates along with
Sure.
world crude oil pricing, you know, so they don't even set the price for 2024 jobs until like March of 2024, when they start locking in, you know,
What's your best guess?
to do all the road surface, to do a road coating.
Yeah.
Probably under $20,000. So you're talking, but this go around with crack sealing, it's $6,500. We have a firm bid. That's a firm bid. It includes everything, you know, all the cracks in the roadways. All right, so there's that. And then seal coating is something we would wait till next spring. That's a hot weather job. They like to, they buy that material in bulk, they bring it in a big tank and they spray it on the roads, and you know, that, again, that price will be fixed in March. So I won't even receive bids for that until March. So getting back to the concrete work, you know, we've finished this one project. We're gonna start a new list, you know, so anything, if you have any questions, sidewalks, curbs, drain, you know, stormwater basins, you know, bring it to my attention through PCAM or directly through Bill. Yes.
Who's responsible for the seams between the curbs and the sidewalks to the driveways?
Good question. So we had one in particular, Sue Lametti, you know, she has some kind of underground water table flow going under her driveway, and it resurfaces at that joint you're talking about. And it was bringing sand with it. And if you notice, it looked like she was dumping sand on her curb every time she got home from the beach, you know? And that was not coming from her. It was actually coming from under her driveway. So we sealed that. And we've had several heavy rains. I went out there in the pouring rain one time with an umbrella, and I'm actually watching sand percolate out from that joint. So we sealed it when we did the other storms, and we've had several significant rainstorms since. I went back out there with my umbrella and I looked, and it's sealed. Now, I don't know where the water's going.
You touch the stairs, from the driveway down the sidewalk, the gutter.
Yeah.
That, I don't know what it was, sport or whatever.
Well,
It's-
yeah.
It's coming up and
Right.
it's a
The
problem.
expansion joint, it's a fibrous material. I don't know, maybe someone else knows exactly what it is. It tends to sort of erode and disintegrate over time.
Right.
And now you have, it turns into like fertile soil. I don't know, because then the weeds start growing. Right.
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is to that. Who should who should own that? But I mean, we could look at that. But that would be a pretty big job digging that out and then sealing it with, it's a commercial product called SICA, SICA. And it's the same material they use to seal the joints around the regular rubber or material. Again, I don't know the answer to that. That would be, You know, I don't know. We, as, since it's on the curb joint, it's an HOA issue. You know, we just, it's doing that since it's attached to the curb. Anything inland of that, you know, towards the sidewalks, you know, I guess we can talk about that. I don't know where, you know, the apron of the driveway, whose responsibility is that?
Well, then you got the sidewalk that goes.
Yes. We've been repairing the aprons. So for those of us that have driveways and a sidewalk, right? We've been dealing with if a corner breaks out, we've been dealing with that. So we're taking care of that.
That's all right.
And then the sidewalk section that runs through there. So, yeah, I mean, we can look at that. It's only money, right?
Yeah.
That might. So hey, if you can fix it with money, it's not that big of a problem, right? Okay, and that's really concludes my report, but I'm open for, you know, anyone that wants to call me, contact me, or with their concerns, I'll come out and take a look at it.
I would prefer those concerns or comments go through PCAN, I want official records and stuff. Because sometimes you're not gonna believe this thing's happened and the board doesn't even know about it. Really?
Shocking. Until Bill has to pay the bill. Any questions? We're good. One here.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, that expansion material that they put in, it also runs by your driveway into your garage. So I dug what was left out. I dug out what was down by the street because I had a lot of weed cleaned up. It's very simple to clean. You can go to Home Depot, you can get Sika in the corner. It's about $6 a tube. And you just caulk it, and it's been there for.
Yeah, I mean,
years now. Good material.
I'm a handyman at heart. I usually do that stuff myself, but when it comes
Yeah, it's
to,
very easy to do.
yeah,
It's not hard, and it's $20, you know?
All right,
all right.
thank you.
Great job, Paul.
I gotta be computer savvy here. Wait a minute. Okay. Edward. Communications.
All right, thank you. So Sharon is dancing in her kitchen, preparing the meal for her company. So I will be delivering the report for the Communications Committee, which she prepared in advance. So the Communications Committee consists of Sharon Marshall, the chair, Jeannie Cummins, Eisenhower, and Kim Simpson. Standing volunteers are Janice Bonin and Nancy Shirey. Sharon is unable to attend in person today, but wanted me to first of all acknowledge the work of her fellow committee members on the new website platform. Jeannie has been particularly diligent in getting the member database as complete as possible, so as many household members as possible have access to the new site. She also has created the site's contact forms and worked through some of the other administrative back-end details. And Kim has secured new information on the community's clubs. Sharon has organized and loaded documents, written and loaded page content, and photos. It has been a long road, but Sharon is delighted to report that all content has been loaded onto the platform, including beautiful photography by our residents. After board review and testing, the site will be ready to go live. December 1st is the target date. Look for communications on the new site and how to log in and create your password in the near future. You will have the opportunity to keep as much of your information private that you feel necessary. Besides being bright, colorful, and easy to use, this new site will house all Bay Point information and forms and will have a button to take you to PCAM's portal to pay quarterly assessments or any fees. BayPointDE.com will be the only website you need to know to find information on what is happening in the community and to contact the board, the ARB, or address lawn service questions, and be able to include attachments in any of these forms. It will have an activity calendar on the homepage as well as news bulletins, community documents, including governing documents, policies, meeting minutes, etc., are well organized in folders and easy to find. There are also links to the CCRs and bylaws on the homepage. Sharon is incredibly excited that she and the committee have been able to pull this together and knows that the community now has a resource they can come to depend on. The committee also continues to support the announcements on the bulletin board, at the entrance, and the weekly social e-blast, the community newsletter, and other board-related emails. This has been an incredibly hard and long journey, and I really want to congratulate Sharon and the committee for putting the work in on this.
Can I assume that the current directory is going to be cleaned up?
Yes, it's a completely new directory.
You know, the current directory is so out of date.
Yes.
Okay.
And part of the problem has been that the existing website is so antiquated that it's, once something gets in the wrong place, it's very difficult to try and get it corrected. Okay, so no, the new site is very user-friendly. We created a new organization. We created a document naming convention, so it's going to be much, much easier to find things and much easier to maintain, to be able to find things.
Thank you, Edward. Things are happening.
All right, facilities. Dawn, you're leading me on. Good morning, I'm sorry. I got to put the mic on.
Oh, I'll turn this off and yeah, sorry.
Project pretty well. But I don't know if I can go down the street. Okay, good morning. I'm Dawn Buanick and I work on the facilities committee. So a couple of quick updates. The pump room. This summer, the board approved and contracted with Dry Zone to waterproof our community pump room. The work was scheduled for October 26th after the pool season, and the work began and completed on that day. So 1 day worth of work. I did test the efficacy of the treatment they did, and it does work. Yay. So I'm satisfied with the result that we resolved those issues. Essentially, a floor drain was installed on the shared walls between the clubhouse and the pump room, which would be this room and the kitchen, in addition to a sump pump. So that was completed. There is one additional project that I think is in the works. I didn't look in the pump room this morning to see if it had been done. But we're going to install soundproofing panels on the wall that is shared with this room and the pump room to try to muffle the sound of the pool pump during the pool season. Additionally, there's a motor installed attached to this wall that pumps the chlorinator. We're going to move that from this wall to the kitchen wall to again try to eliminate the pump noise in this room. So we'll take care of that before pump season happens or pool season happens. Pump season. So I do want to say a big thank you to all those who helped prepare and restore the pump room to get ready for the work. And that was Larry, Lynna Weaver, Nick Guido, Mark Eisenhower, Glenn Higby, and Lynn Maddie. We pulled everything out of there, did some cleanup, disposed of things we no longer felt we needed, and then put it all back in. So that was a good couple of days of work. Security cameras. So earlier this summer, we talked about doing a pilot program down by the gazebo with a security camera. That worked out pretty well. So board approved additional cameras. So we've set up additional cameras in the gazebo area. There are now 2 cameras, one pointing to the pier and one covering the gazebo and the kayaks there. 2 cameras have been installed in the boatyard to kind of capture what's happening in the boatyard. And then 2 cameras attached to the clubhouse, one in the front and one in the back. So if you're messing around in the pool, we know who you are. Just to know, these are not continuously and actively monitored. They're passive cameras. So if you have an incident, please report it to the board using the contact us link on the new Bay Pointe website. So I do want to give a big shout out to Dave Baca for his guidance on this project and the work getting these installed. It was a big effort and he gave us quite a commitment of time. Finally, the clubhouse. Hopefully you had an opportunity to take a look at the proposed clubhouse design. That's been, as everybody else has said, quite a journey to get vendors to come in and give you estimates and bid. I finally got a third one this week, or I got someone to come in. Now I have to get them. That's the second part. But the work is underway, getting estimates for remodeling, painting, furniture, TV costs, mirrors for the fitness room. That's all underway and we're putting together a spreadsheet to present to the board and we'll go from there, getting the work scheduled. We'll keep you posted. Obviously, the clubhouse will have to be closed at certain times for some of the work. I don't expect that we'll close it all down at once, maybe for painting. That will happen, but we'll see how we can make that work so that people still have access to the clubhouse as often as possible. I do have to give a big thanks to the advisory committee. They've been invaluable on this. If anybody has ever seen my home, I have never selected a paint color or picture or anything. So it's not my strength. So our advisory committee has been Ladine Barksdale, Sharon Higbee, Nikki Economo, and Barb Jasinski. So thanks to everyone on their work on that.
Design that are despicable, like the area rug. This is a community of 80% of our people are over 60 years old. An area rug is a disaster and leading to a lawsuit. I mean, right there, it's glaring.
Sure, absolutely.
We should be able to define parts of it that are.
Yep, absolutely. We take feedback, absolutely. If we put there,
Be spread to the community.
I'll tell a little funny story. I thought, oh, it might be fun to paint the fitness room a very bright, happy, energizing color. So I put 2 paint chips out there, one bright orange and one bright aqua, and they've disappeared. So so to me, that means hell no, I don't want that color. So Lorraine, absolutely, send it through the contact us.
And we've heard a lot about that carpet, where it was there as a possibility. If you read, there was a sign said possibility. Yes, we know it could be a tripping hazard.
Yep.
But I mean, it should be presented where we don't have to individually spread a thing out. Do you want this part, that part, so that everybody can contribute?
I'm
Because leaving it up to 1 or 2 designers is.
Well, we had the board up there for weeks
there.
and
So
comments.
we should be able to.
And that was.
Community should be able.
absolutely, you should be able to.
Spread out.
Absolutely. I don't disagree with you, and I have received lots of feedback from folks, so I'm open to receiving feedback.
What I said.
Okay, I'm not sure how we're missing
Process.
a process. Contact us
Contact
on the website. You can provide feedback through that. Is that
No,
helping?
what we're missing here is that you're not emailing us with, you have this option, and that option. Check what you want. That will give you a feedback of what we want.
Okay. Yes, I understand what you're saying.
That's
Everybody participate. People who think they're in designers.
Okay, we hear you. Thank you.
There's another question?
Yes. Yes, I was told that
Order, please.
a little bit, this is not quite what she was talking about. I was told that one of the reasons a lot of things are being replaced is because there's mold. And if there is that true? That's not.
We took out the one piece, which was a credenza here that was moldy.
Well, I was told that there was, some of the furniture was moldy.
It, no,
Just-
so we did have a piece of furniture that did have mold on it from our water incursion, and it was removed.
So the rugs have been tested?
Yes,
they
have. Yes.
Okay.
When,
You know, in fact, when,
What's the
Serve Pro
company? Serve
came,
Pro.
just for this last one, I made them test all of the carpeting. Every time they come in, they did the mold testings. We, you know,
It
because
tests the
being a
kitchen.
realtor, I know you don't want to have mold anywhere, and it was all fine. Yeah, no, it's not fun.
They have to test their pump room as
Yeah.
well, so.
Luckily, we have cement underneath here, you know, that it's not, you know, so therefore, as soon as they come in and they put their dryers and everything on, it immediately takes it up. Yeah,
Got it.
so,
Thank you.
yes.
Thanks.
I'm gonna go over here. Thank you. Bye.
Hi, guys. My name is Lynn.
Order, please.
I'm brand new on the board, and I just want to tell everybody in here, happy Veterans Day. I appreciate everybody's service. And I'm taking my hero to Touch of Italy, Taste of Italy, one of that place downtown. For Heroes for Heroes event. But anybody who's a hero, they're giving out heroes to heroes. Anyhow, I've had a busy few months here since August, that fateful day in August. We did power washing last week. I hope you all noticed how beautiful the building looks. It really looks nice. FNS did a great job on that, and we're glad that it's finally done. One of the things that caused the huge mess out there is we had the lights on outside. The lights attracted bugs, and the bugs attracted spiders. So then there's spider poop is what is all down the wall. In addition, there's something called artillery fungus. We learned so many things. Artillery fungus that comes off the mulch.
Right.
And then it's kind of gross to think about it. Anyhow, the FNS was able to get all of the spider poop off. If there's anything left on the buildings, it's artillery spores, artillery fungus spores. There is no solution to that yet. They're working on something. So that's what's going on with the building. What we've tried to do is shut off the lights that are outside. There are motion lights that are remaining, that if anybody's walking into the building, the lights come on and then the lights come on inside the building. But I guess for a while, we've had the lights on outside. And we want those off to eliminate the problem with the bugs and the spiders and the poop, okay? We are researching the possibility of getting lights put in the ground outside to shine up on the building. So the source of the light is down on the ground, and that's where the bugs go, and that's where the spiders go, and that's where the poop goes. So that's what we're working on. So that we don't know if it's a timer issue or if it's people coming in and say, oh, they forgot to put the lights on and the lights get switched on. We didn't forget, we want them off. If you guys could leave them off, we'd appreciate it. And I was told that the bugs do not go away in the winter, so we can't have the lights on even in the winter. So that's that. And if there's an event here, we can put them off, but then we'll turn them off afterwards. Okay, so that's that project. The board approved last week the RFP that was written with the help of a lot of people to replace the HVAC system. The board is aware of the changes to the laws regarding, big word here, hydrochlorofluorocarbons used in the AC systems. There's a bunch of changes going on. The system that we have is going to be phased out in 2025. New systems are going to be brought online. Those new systems are very expensive, much more expensive than what these are. Service is expensive because the technicians have higher costs for storage and insurance and a learning curve. So there's a lot of increased costs with newer systems. The board has decided we want to replace this system in 2024. This system is 15 years old. If the clubhouse is 15 years old, that's 15 years old. The reserve study, I looked it up, says that this system that we have has a 12 to 18 year lifespan. It's a Ryan system, so we feel lucky that we've gotten the amount of use. Because some people haven't been that lucky. We've had excellent maintenance of the system from Dennis Barton. And he's maintained the system and he's done a great job and he's helped with the RFP. So we think that we know that it's an important decision, it's a wise decision, and it's, I feel that this expenditure now will decrease our costs later on. And I think that, we need to do it. Thank Dennis.
Yes.
And again, Larry Lineweaver for all the help that he's given every time I send him an email. He says, "Oh, I'm on it. I got it. I'm already ahead of you." So that's great. So he's been a very big help. And Dawn has been fantastic with everything around. And I've recruited a new person. He's not on a committee yet, but he will. Ron Abrimsky is a HVAC expert, I'm told, and he's gonna help us interview vendors and talk to people and make sure everything gets done the way we need it to get done. Okay, that's my report.
Okay.
Okay, any questions? Can you all say hydrochloro?
No. Okay. All right, last on our agenda is a discussion about the proposed CCR change with regard to signs. I feel probably that's why a lot of you are here today. I first want to apologize to the way that it went out to the community. And we realized there was a lot of confusion and therefore we pulled back the requested change of vote. We realized we needed changes in the CCR written by the developer regarding signs, but realized with the confusion, a lot of people out there didn't realize that in the CCRs, it says we can have no signs whatsoever in the community. We have allowed signs and we have signs, and it was brought to our attention by our attorney and also by the BPHOA laws that we needed to clear up this inconsistency. We would be liable if we didn't. And in our CCR, section 816, it states no signs of any manner are allowed. So if you think about it, okay, we can't have security signs. We can't have beware of dog signs. We can't basically have sports teams, anything with messages. Holiday signs really got to that point. And it's been an issue throughout the state. It isn't just a problem here in Bay Point. During the last presidential election, yes, we had some issues. We got one coming up, which made us a little bit nervous about what we would have to deal with. We also had some hate speech signs. We also have had a lot of commercial signs that we had to get people take down. So we needed to create a policy. And in our CCRs, it says no signs. So we said, the attorney advised us if we made a CCR change that said we could do a policy, then we could have signs. So the policing, and the policies that we have done, I don't know whether people are aware in the community. We have a lot of policies. We have a pool policy, a clubhouse, boatyard, kayak, fines, procurement, investments. We have a number of policies that have been written over the years and are changed all the time with the board. So that was one concern from people. They're changed. I mean, our pool policy has been changed 7 times, as the needs arise. Having no signs of any manner is not what the board wants. And I don't think it's what the community wants because a lot of people have signs up. So yes, we do have sign police out there and the board gets sends, complaints in, and people complain all the time about the signs, and then we have to go and get them taken down. And yeah, we have people monitoring this, and they do contact them, they do report on their neighbors. So I would assume those people probably don't want to have any signs, but I think the majority of us love signs, and that's what we're trying to go. And that's why we came, we said, okay, before we put out anything anymore, we need your feedback. What happens is whatever we decide, we need a satisfaction level, or we need to produce a direction that 67% of the community likes. So right now it could be no sign. It's really basically policy. So we wanted to get you all together. We wanted to hear your feedback. We got to figure out a solution here, what's best, what the majority of the community wants. So I'm basically opening it up to the floor. Paul, the first one.
Do we have a clear definition of what a sign is?
Oh, yes. Right on the policy that went, the policy that went out, that is the definition, state definition of a sign, so if you read it, it's pretty, covers everything. And I was even surprised, even down to a rock, so, if you have these little decoration rocks and things like that, it is amazing what a sign is considered out there. So I was surprised, on this, and not that we have it. So can we, yes? Nope, yep. Greg, do you have?
I will apologize because I'm gonna start this on a negative note.
Mhm.
When your first draft of this came out in the board note, I wrote a pretty pointed email.
Mhm. We got a lot of them.
That I think is the first time I've ever written to the board on anything, but it really, really aggravated me. What aggravated me was not the first page, the cover letter, if you will, which is all very reasonable. But the problem is, this says, these are all things that should be discussed. I totally and absolutely agree. This is not the amendment. This could just as well say, we could launch hot air balloons from our front yard. I mean, this is not the policy. The policy is right here.
Mhm.
And the policy basically says the board can do anything they want whenever they want to do it. And that's the part that I don't like. And the reason I don't like it is that we're all here today because signs are a contentious issue. And it will be as long as this development is here. And I think we'd be way better, rather than arguing this every 6 months or every year or every 2 years when we get a new board or new residents. I think the amendment should say very specifically what we can and can't do. I know it's hard to pass, but I think this is an issue we need to say, this is what we can do, this is what we can't do, so we're not gonna re-argue about it every 6 months. That's my bit. So personally, I cannot support this the way it's written. That's just me.
Ron?
I came in here early and spoke to the board about this policy. And I learned much to my surprise. Well, I really didn't learn much to my surprise that the original bylaws prohibited signs. What I did read in that provision was that they didn't want signs for sale on anyone. If you wanted to have signs, you had to put them in the window. Let me just say that when you look at the draft that says section 816 sign controls, that the board would have pretty much plenary authority over what you can have and what you can have. That raises another issue for me. It raises a very big issue to me, and that is that where I've been before and where I am now, and I've been president, and I have been in planning residential communities and what have you. The smartest, when you start entering into what I would call speech, and speech can be protected speech, it could be offensive speech, it could be all kinds of different speeches, and then you try to regulate that, that's no longer speech, that's censorship. Now, I looked at this particular policy, and a lot of what's on this policy is things that make a lot of common sense. We're all educated people. We don't like people putting up things that are offensive to our neighbors. I got outraged over one thing I read on the internet. And we don't want to put up signs that are offensive in nature. But the question that you have to ask yourself is, how do you define offensive from obscenity? What you might call argumentative advocacy versus, well, provocating somebody's position. I looked at this thing cursorily, and one of the things you have here is what's a permitted form of speech? Campaign signs up to 2 to 3 inches in size with a maximum of 4 signs per lot to be displayed no earlier than 14 days before or 2 days, and then have to be removed 2 days after. A lot of municipalities have a provision like this when they're having elections. But what they don't have is what you can put up as a political sign. Then you go to the prohibited section over here, and it says signs that advocate for or against any public party, candidate, position or ideal, except for signs permitted by campaign signs. Well, gee, folks, campaign signs advocate for their client. I mean, so here you have an oxymoron of saying, well, gee, you can have a sign, but you can't have this sign.
Okay,
All
can I answer that? I need to answer that.
Order, please.
Yeah, order.
In one go round, and I apologize if there's a mistake. One of our drafts defined a campaign sign as a sign that supported a particular candidate in a federal election, a state election, or a local election. So you were supporting, I don't even know who I could say that wouldn't get everybody upset. We're supporting Joe Kennedy. Okay, we want Joe Kennedy. I have listened to you all morning and I need to say this. So we defined, thank you. We described the political signs. The campaign signs we just defined, and I apologize if it's not still in there. This went through 17,000 iterations before it got put out. This policy that you're holding, I thought, and I didn't bring it with me, allows every single sign, flag, whatever you guys have in this neighborhood is all listed there. There's not one thing, you can't go around this neighborhood and say, oh, here's a sign that's not on this policy. It is, I understand what you're saying. And I don't, this needs to be worked out and we need to remain calm and we need to
Find a solution.
figure out what it is that we want. Do we want 1 million signs? I feel like we're getting all riled up and I understand that. But we need to come to some kind of a consensus. Is it possible for this community, you guys pick 4 people to make a committee, to sit with us, to figure out what you want on a policy, or to figure out exact wording in a policy? Do you want the CCR to be 3 pages long with all the policy in it?
That's not what you're missing here is its speech. And you just advocated exactly what I'm saying. You have an idea of what it should be. Another person in this room has a different idea of what it should be. And then what happens, you wind up looking at the policy and people start to have debates. It creates problems. It creates more work for you. If you try to regulate what is protected speech, what is not speech, or what has it. And what I'm trying to say here.
Can we just have, okay, instead of one person talking, can you say what is you want in short sentences right now, your opinion, what do you want?
I'm just pointing out that was an example of what you can do with a policy.
Okay.
All right.
But
And
what do you want to do with the sign?
What happens here, excuse me, Can I have the?
We've
been listening.
We've been listening.
Let me finish. I will give you an example of just what happens when you have something like this. In Pennsylvania, the lawyers have a rule called listen to me,
Time out. Time out. Time out. Let's relax.
Rule 8.4G. 8.4G was written away to avoid lawyers engaging in intentional harassment. When they put that thing into the code of professional responsibility, the complaints that went into the disciplinary board skyrocketed. We're at the point, 84% of them were thrown out. It went into the appellate courts, it went in through the federal courts, and it wound up getting settled in the Pennsylvania Supreme Court that the rule that they have was fine. You start doing something with a policy like this, and we have all these people who are well educated, and I think they know how to behave themselves, at least I hope they do, and I'm sure that they do. That when they look at this thing, somebody comes over and says, I don't like your sign and it's in violation of the code, you're going to have a dispute. And every time you have a dispute, it's going to tie up your time, it's going to tie up your resources, and it's going to create a problem.
Okay.
And that's the reason why I
Thank you.
think that this is a bad idea. And I close right there, so I know that you people are getting angry.
It's not getting angry, but there's other people that have questions and we want to try and get to everybody, allow everybody to have time to speak also.
All right, then we should have a debate. Give me 2 minutes. I got my 2 minutes. Thank you.
I'll come back.
I'm sorry,
If
that's
it's you,
really
Paul.
not a question, but I think Lynn is onto a good idea, that we have an advisory group, an ad hoc team that gets together to discuss this, because clearly we're not going to be able to resolve this today. There's just too many issues and we don't need to be hot about it, and let's just go offline. If this gentleman wants to be part of the group, that's great. I'll volunteer to be part of that group too. And just be an ad hoc committee to make recommendations to the board.
You have to, what I would suggest is you homeowners pick 4 people amongst yourselves.
Yeah, not a board, not a
And
board.
we're not picking you guys. You pick.
I'm being a right.
No,
I
you need a
volunteer.
vote.
All right, can I have who has their hands up for what? For being on it or what? Okay, all right, so let's, all right. Carol, you had your hand up for a while. Thank you, Dave, for that.
Our board does a great job. They all work really well. They're very and fair. I've seen it really here. I just want to say, I really firmly agree with what Lynn said. I think this thing, which is a policy, I believe,
Yes.
is great. It's very clear. And this is part of the CCR, the little part. And the only issue that we have with it is right now, we have a great board. We have people that are really logical, and we need, for a CCR, you need 2/3 of the residents to vote yes or no. But 2 years, 3 years, 5 years from now, we may not have such a great board. Because nobody's going to want to if they get abused like this in these meetings. But if
If there's anyone here, he had a very intelligent conversation.
But
He didn't stand up and polish.
Order, please. And I appreciate what they're doing. The only issue that I have is that when they have different board members, the CCR change that's proposed, again, the CCR, take 2/3 of the vote to change it, allows anything to happen with this policy. So that's the only issue we have, is that we're kind of saying, love what's in this long draft that gives you all kinds of information about what's allowed and not allowed. Maybe that could be a CCR. But again, I think Dave's idea of putting together, an ad hoc group and really kind of thrashing this out and talking about it, that might be what we do at this point, and seeing what other HOAs have done. I'm sure other people.
We have all, there's from no signs to what, lots of signs. Phil, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I have a general question. I am not a constitutional lawyer. I'm not any kind. This gentleman, I'm sorry I didn't get your name. Dan? All right, well, we're all. Okay, so, he mentioned the word free speech. First Amendment, right? So being a private community like this, is there a line between what we decide should be in our CCR and what our Constitution says we're allowed to do? Can we, do we have priority over that?
The state does.
But we're a private community.
You were a private community. That's a lot of what goes on because we have the COA laws, we have our CCRs, we have our bylaws, we have a lot of, and then we have the state, laws and and then the national laws. So it's really hard.
This, restrictions and or, allowable, not allowed. Does free speech really factor in to that? Or do we have final say as a private community? That's
Good question. No, it's a good question. Yeah, I don't know. That's a very good question. Yes, Ron.
I think this was touched on just here at the end a minute ago, but surely there's lots of HOAs that have gone through this process. I mean, I'm sure you've touched base with some, have you gotten input? I mean, why reinvent the wheel if there's stuff out there?
All right, this thing has been going on from the last election, since I've been on the board. So I sort of know the history of, and we sort of, each new person we sort of gave it to and we sort of just kept going on trying to figure out what to do about this. If you look at villages of Herring Creek, they allow no signs. That's what our policy says, no signs. They allow nothing. And we basically have not followed that. So here's 2 developments, they say no signs. We have gotten a lot from others, from PCAM. They have given us things. And we sort of devised ours on those people who allow signs, like Lewis Crossing and some of the others allow signs. And they basically have allowed these type of things. We have people out there, I've gone around to a lot of communities, Meadows of Beaver Creek. They don't allow anything. They don't even allow, ornamental and things like that. You can have 1 ornamental in your yard. You can't have a bench. I mean, there's some that are really restrictive. We aren't. We're trying to give you flexibility and let everybody keep up what they have. And that's what we have been trying to do. And yes, I know it's a very sensitive subject. I don't like no signs at all, that personally, but I have to think of the 100, and so does the board, of the 165 people here. And that's why, we are trying to make it flexible. Unfortunately, and we've looked at a lot of communities, there's no great solution, let me put it that way.
Sorry, before any more questions, when you have a question, can you
Announce your name.
Yeah, so
The poor people here.
on the computer know who is speaking. They've asked.
All right, Nikki?
I just wanted to mention that if it's gonna be a group that gets together, I think it's a great idea. And thank you. I think it should be eyes of male and female.
Yes.
Yeah.
Needs to be a good mix. Yes, I agree. Yes.
Democrats and Republicans.
Yeah.
That's not my.
Yes. State your name.
Okay, my name is Sue Pleasant. Talking about free speech, several years ago, I spent all this money on these magnetic things, just on my car. They're not signs that I put up or anything saying what I do for a living. And I was told to take them down after I paid all that money for it. I don't understand how that is considered a sign. I don't understand how something like that is not allowed. It's across my entire, like it was painted on my car, just magnetic, little magnetic.
You're in your situation is we don't allow any commercialism in the community. That's where it was. It wasn't a sign. It was the fact that there's no allowance of commercial vehicles in the community to be parked in the community.
It's not a commercial vehicle.
Well, it is your sign of your thing, so it makes it.
Notified, my daughter came and she was just there for a couple of days with a sign on it. And they didn't want that in my driveway. It was just weird.
I will tell you on cases like that, though you get reported to the board from your own neighbors, from the neighbors. you
Oh,
know.
of course.
And, so we have to go by the CCRs as far as that with the commercial, that, in that case, probably a mistake. We don't know if it's a guest or, who it is.
Isn't it kind of like putting neighbors?
Well, that's
I
what,
really can't stand that.
We live in.
that's the world we live
I
in.
went into this neighborhood and I wanted to get along with everybody in here if I possibly could. And it's like all these little cliques here and it's like. I want
Yes.
to get along with everyone.
Chris,
Chris Rafter, just a question about what we have right now.
mhm.
What is the policy on the American flag?
It is
Oh, that's-
100% allowed by law.
Is what?
100%.
100% allowed by law. It can be up to 3 feet by 5 feet big and it can be hung up.
Because we have ours is to
High up on a 35-foot pole. That is a federal law.
It's not, the American flag is not in this, it's in.
Personally, I.
Hey, everybody, please. Excuse me, Chris.
I would say I'm more in Greg Stevens' camp about signs otherwise. And I think when I read this, because, I have a certain pattern thing in my head, but I know what would happen if we had symbols, any language, numbers to get around a policy to state most likely a political opinion. People would have code. And
they
the
will.
signs would not be, trash this one. It would be in numbers or patterns or symbols. And that's what we would have in this neighborhood. Wow.
I know, well. Yeah.
I've seen it, and I think that's what some very clever people would do. Wow.
And I think that's why, right now, if we had to enforce it, it's no signs whatsoever in this community.
I think we should have no signs. Then there's no.
That's what, there wouldn't be an issue. Then everybody would have to take down their signs. There's no signs.
What signs are we talking about? Like even the garden?
Everything, flags, yes, gardens, everything.
And mailbox covers.
Mailbox cover, anything.
Big flags.
You have my welcome.
Nope, you're still. What about wreaths on the front door?
That's not.
That's not a sign. Come on, people, it's messaging, come on.
Gnome or something on your front in your garden. That's not a sign.
That's not a sign.
Oh, it's not a sign.
Yes, John.
Order, please.
Order. State your name.
John Charleski. So we're going to have the ad hoc committee. They're going to be speaking for the group, for everybody in the neighborhood. Then we need to know what they discuss, how they discuss it, so that we can have a vote.
Or what the.
You have to realize that if we want to change the CCRs the way it stands right now, we have to get 67% of the community to change a CCR. That's in our, our doctrines. So that's the rub in a lot of respects. Carolyn.
So does a sign or flag mean that it has words or symbols or numbers on it?
On this paper, it says definitions of signs, pictures and or symbols, including without limitation, writing in any language, numbers and or formulas communicating information.
So pictures of flowers, is that a sign? That.
Yeah. And right below that definition of sign is definition of campaign sign.
Thank you.
Dean.
Yeah. I think we can all agree during the 2020 election, when our policy was no sign, it got a little bit ugly in our community. People were asked to take down signs and they refused. So if we have a policy where people can have up to 4 political signs on their lawn, there's no way that you're going to make them take it down.
No.
You have no power. And we don't live in a community where we're in a high traffic. We don't have people that come in here and, just to drive through our community for the most part. In my mind, I don't see the point of having political signs. If you put down that you want to vote for Joe Smith and I want to vote for, Fred Allen, whatever, You're not changing my mind by putting your flag there.
Thank you. I was thinking the same thing.
I agree.
You know what I mean? You're,
It's on for 2 weeks.
everybody's entitled to free speech, I agree, and to their political opinion, but and everybody has that, but you're not changing people's mind by putting a flag out supporting someone.
And you're just, and you're.
I mean, I can see it on Route 1, Route 20, it's someplace where people go by and they don't really pay that much attention, but, oh, so-and-so's for school board. Great, I'll vote for that person. I don't know.
And
That's my opinion.
I agree.
I mean, everybody's making a mind up, ready to kiss the kids from ourselves that's coming through.
yes,
The neighborhood looks tacky as it is when people drive in. And you see all these flags, signs, little signs on the tree lawn. I don't know what you call those.
those are poop signs, yeah.
I mean,
How about your dog flag? How about your dog flag?
What about
that?
Well, that's okay.
Yes, we've
What
heard,
about
okay.
security
Oh,
signs?
Nope, not allowed.
Those should be allowed.
Well,
It worked.
I know, and a lot of people feel that way, you know, yes, yeah, so. All right, anybody else? All right.
I meant security in the front of the neighborhood. I didn't mean in front of
Oh,
individual.
no, that's.
Oh, that's another story.
That's
Okay.
going up, that's,
I'm not taking down my security.
I'm not sure it is either, yeah.
Yeah.
What day?
I make a motion that we form an ad hoc advisory committee that studies the more detail.
Also,
Hold on.
I second it.
Yeah.
I third
I guess, so, you know, I think, you know, I mean,
Let's do it.
Just do it.
are you gonna take it on? I mean, Dave, you'll take it on?
Yeah. Hold. Order, please.
What, my policy guy,
I would like to get the motion correct. So you are making a motion to form an ad hoc committee to explore options concerning. Correct. And Carolyn, okay.
well, we just have to do it in by policy, Robert's rules. All right,
Just so we're clear that this is a community committee.
that will bring a recommendation to the board.
Work it up and bring it to the board.
Mhm. Yes.
So you pick your members and.
Yep, yep.
Well, we can tally the members.
What do you mean, tally?
Well, we can,
That's
process.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, this is what we had with, yeah, go ahead.
All in favor of forming the ad hoc committee to explore the option for the display of signs? Opposed? Okay, now we can talk process. We're talking process.
I suggest that those interested in serving on this committee, because this is a problem, and we can solve this as a community. Submit their names to PCAN.
You can.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
On board, on the.
Premier.
Contact us.
Submit names.
Is that acronym?
That's an acronym.
There are many.
All righty, so,
Didn't know the acronym.
Doesn't involve us.
yeah, no, it's not involved. All right, so is everybody clear? You put your names in?
The results, January.
I don't know, let me just get the, put your results in, you know, your
Submit your name.
submit your name into PCAM. I got people talking at both ears, so, yeah. And, date, what do you think, guys? By January, February, what we want to have?
2042?
No. I don't want to have to go through that. Yeah.
About a week.
A week?
Yes, all they're doing is submitting a name to volunteer.
Oh, no. I'm saying, when do they want, when should we have the you know, they're, you know, so everybody gets.
Let's let them.
Okay, so we can decide and you can get back.
Don't
Yes,
make it a shot at shares.
So
You don't have the floor.
if you want to send in to me, your name, you can either do it through the Bay Point website with contact us. It comes directly to me, or you can do that through the portal. You can even put it in as just a general question, but it'll still come directly to me and then I have the information, just in case anybody wasn't sure.
Pete?
Right, Pete Haskell, just a question. Are we limiting the number of committee members or not?
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to.
Let's
That's
let
a
them
good point.
decide.
Yeah.
I-
No,
And what I would suggest is when you get the list, it can go back out to the community and they can decide maybe a vote on who would be on the committee.
That's something we all be.
we should have a number. I mean, because if you get on you, I think.
How many
like
people
that.
do you think we're gonna get? I think we'll get probably 8.
Oh.
Of the population. What's the total population?
No, it would only be homeowners. It would be, so that's 165. So what you're saying, a percentage of that?
10%?
16 people? 16 and a half.
We're really getting ahead of ourselves. Let's see who steps up. This is a problem.
Might sleep on it.
It's a problem. We can
It is
solve this.
Submit the name.
I know it.
It's been going on for 4 years. It
Submit
hasn't
the
been
name
solved.
of the Management Association. Is that what you-
Yes. Yeah. Mhm. All right, everybody understand? You're gonna submit your name. And people that are interested.
Then when it's the first meeting,
Yes,
live date and place.
I think so too. I think we really should set a number.
You didn't get any of this from Pete.
Try to
And you-
figure out when we get some-
Feel the board just set a number.
Okay.
What if the number of people?
I have all of those things are gonna be big. I mean, sure. I don't see how it works.
Well, what do you want to do? Well, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna ask you questions. They want to say it. Tell me about it. All right.
Can I say one more thing? When all of you submit your names through the Pecan Contact Us portal, we'll send the names out back to you. You have a meeting and you, the community, vote how many people are on it. You, the community, decide how you want to run it. You, the community, tell us, we'll have a policy, we'll have a CCR for you by
To consider.
February or March. And you, the community, work it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You don't want us to sit up here and say, okay, people, you'll get picked off out of it.
Imagine that.
Pete,
But who's going to direct where the meeting's gonna be, who's gonna?
Well, the
share?
meeting should be right here in the clubhouse.
well, no, I mean, what we've had people come, and his example was, we had people give recommendations on the bocce court, and there was a whole team that got together. It was like 30 people were interested in it. And then, and slowly I signed it to a group. They came to me and they said, we're interested in it. They formed a team. They went off, they had their meetings, they did it, and stuff. And so they picked where they were and then they came to a proposal to the board. And I think that's the way, like a lot of things that we've done, we've had it through a group coming with a proposal. Yes, Jim.
Just to speed things up. We have Pecan representative here now. We have people that are concerned with the community are in here now. Some people couldn't come for certain reasons. But once you close the meeting, can she stay for a few minutes and let the people that raised their hand just give the name? I mean, that would speed things up a little bit.
That's reasonable.
Very good. All righty. So, yeah, she has to, it's just to get a sign in, she'll do it up right now. All right. Yeah, I know, I have to. All right, everybody, we're gonna adjourn the meeting. Oh. Yeah.
David, my name is David Bach. I spoke on budget today earlier. I voted no. It's not because I don't think the budget's good. I think they've all done a wonderful job in the budget. But what I would like to make another motion that we have a budget ad hoc community advisory committee to talk about sharing information on selecting projects, et cetera, because I don't think that is shared. Like the woman in the back there who talked about, the clubhouse design. I think it's not open enough today, the budget for the optional items, like how do we pick the basketball court? How do we pick the security fence? So my other motion would be similar to the one we just passed, is to have an ad hoc budget committee to improve communication so that we're not voting on these things today. We vote in advance, we get input in advance, and we don't make decisions at this meeting. We process it all with you as a community. Do I hear a second on that motion to have an ad hoc? Yeah.
Question.
Wait a minute.
I have a
Yeah.
question. Are we up for discussion?
Yes, open for discussion.
So I have a question. I understand the proposal, but I'm not clear what the difference is between the budget advisory committee and the board. I'm not sure where's the line of responsibility, I think.
Board is responsible for maintaining the community, and we do a fine job on that, but the board can't select things without getting feedback from the community. And I don't think there's proper feedback on the optional items from the entire community. I think it's a limited set of people in the community who are saying, I want a bocce court or I want security fence. So I'm just saying that the process would be better if the community could process it in advance and make their needs known instead of just the board.
Well, I would like to suggest coming to general meetings.
Yes, would be good.
Unfortunately, there might only be one or two people in this room, usually just one, Janet.
Jen, it comes.
And now James has been, and Carol, yes.
That's not a problem.
If you, excuse me, if you come to the general meetings, you would hear what's going on and you would be part of it. If you read the minutes, you would see the discussions going on and what's happening. Now, I think it's too early to entertain this motion at this time. I think something like this needs to be defined. Excuse me, David, I'm talking. David, I'm talking.
That's fine.
We
But
need
you're
to go
shutting down communication.
No, I'm discussing. What this, I'm okay for this, but it needs to be defined. As Dawn had pointed out, responsibilities and what's the impact.
I mean, we're elected. If you read the CCRs and you read the bylaws, the board is elected and our duties are to manage this community, to keep it in good repair, keep it safe, and to monitor where all the funds and where they go and how they get divided and decide what the fees are and stuff. That's what you elected to us. If you don't want that as a board, I mean, people, I mean, as Bill says, we have meetings. Nobody comes. Very few. I mean, we have meetings where we discuss all of this. These things are on the docket. You can come in and tell us what your viewpoints are. Nobody comes. Everybody
actually listen and consider the viewpoint if we come.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. That's what we have to. Why, Marty, I'm really surprised. I mean, it's 165 people we represent. We listen to whatever people come. We might not have an answer right then and there because we got to sit, we might not have all of the history that we need, but you got to come, guys, and then, and participate and be part of it. Not send us a complaint letters into PCAM. Come to the meetings and have a discussion with us. And I'm going to give, Sharon, you had a question.
Basketball and hockey were primary selection for what people wanted in the community. So we formed the committee to get that and that's really it started. That's how that process worked. Because we could find out wasn't put to a vote. It was a survey that went out to the community.
Yeah, again, I'm just asking to look at process improvements. We're not saying anything's changing. I'm just saying that we might look at process improvements for the budget so that we have better community buy-in.
David, what I'd like to do is this, and I'm all for community improvement. This board, as the last two boards that I served with, we've been pushing committees and community involvement. And I don't have to tell you how many new committees that we have established. And I am very open to the suggestion but to call for a vote right now, I believe is premature. I would like to put this on an agenda item on the next board meeting, and please come. And anyone else who's interested in this type of oversight committee for budgets, please come and let's discuss it and not make a knee-jerk decision. This budget has passed.
The budget is passed, but again, all I'm asking is for an improvement process for next year, for the future.
And I'm strong.
I've been working with Robert's Rules for years. There needs to be a call for the question. There's a motion and a second, and the next step after discussion is a vote. And that'll put this to bed or it'll initiate. Dave made a proposal. Somebody seconded it. So Dave needs to either withdraw or we need to vote. Call for the question, Robert's Rules. That's where we're at. Sorry, I don't have a gavel.
All right, then we call for a vote, I guess, no one does it go for people that are not attending too, so they even understand. Okay.
How are you gonna get the votes for the people?
I don't know.
It's time. An ad hoc budget advisory committee to provide input on how to improve the budget process. And I believe Carolyn seconded. Active discussion and business.
I guess so. Is no more further discussion?
I do. This is premature. There's nothing stating what the actual responsibilities of this committee is. It's just about hearsay. No, there's no object to it other than to advise.
I agree. It's not well defined at all. We don't even know what we're voting for.
Right, we're voting to form a committee to review the process, to make recommendations of how it might be improved.
Now, what might be
How the
improved?
budget process might be improved so that we can have better communication amongst the community on
The
it.
budget process, that is a big, wide object.
And that's why you have an advisory group to look at it.
That's what the board's for.
Let's just take a vote, please. We don't-
So it's just a process. You want to propose a process, not actually change how.
No, you can't change it. I'm just saying.
Okay, that helped me to clarify. Thank you.
All righty, then we call for all in favor,
Show of hands.
show of hands.
Aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
Okay.
11, 12, 13.
Did we vote?
No, yeah,
We vote.
okay, now voting online. I have negatives, no's online.
All opposed.
All opposed?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12,
Hold on.
14, 15. Okay, so the nays have it.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah, no, I'll make this agenda item. Please come.
just come and talk.
Come and talk.
Come and talk. All righty.
It's
Oh.
working.
Lorraine Mulliker.
Lorraine Mulliker.
2010. The CCRs that I signed on for back then said no solar panels. When did 66% of the community approves put solar panels in?
It's
I
a,
don't remember voting for it.
You can't-
I don't remember seeing anything.
we can't, it's a federal law, so we can't do anything about it. It's a federal law.
What,
Yeah,
what,
But
it's
it's not allowed.
yes, yeah, we have to allow. Yeah. Thank you, Lorraine. All right, is everybody? Everybody,
Order, please.
we're gonna adjourn the meeting. Remind everybody that March 23rd is our next meeting. It's gonna be a town hall, at 9:30. So March 23rd is our next meeting. Well, the next board meeting is December 19th, I think it is. Whatever it is. It's always the third Thursday at 1 is the general session. So we invite everybody. It was out in the newsletter. It gave you all the 21st.
December 21st.
We've putting out all of the messages. We will let everybody know. Once we have the new website, these things are all flagged. So please go to the website because it will be flagged on the website. So we're trying to improve the communication, get everything out there. Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you all.
Right, so we addressed it, we made it. I know. So I just want to let you know that I'm definitely. What you got.
Can I actually have you, write your name down here? Thank you.